Hey guys, welcome back to Lifencyber. Hey, this week we're going to get installing a Parrot OS. And so Parrot OS is just kind of like our Kali Linux that we installed last week, but it's a little bit different. So let's just get down into it. So if you go to parrotsec.org, you actually can download this operating system right from their website. 6.1 has just released, and so you can get the live CD, the virtual CD, an IoT device such as something for a Raspberry Pi. If you like to get into Docker images and containerization, you can use that. And then there's a few other things too, like you can use the WSL or the Debian conversion script, because this system is developed on Debian and is used primarily by security professionals. So unlike the other Kali Linux, where it came off from OffSec, Parrot OS actually did come from the Parrot security team and is built on top of it. So you can download it from the GitLab or GitLab Mir. And today what we're going to do is we downloaded the live installation. So we're going to pull down the live installation CD. We're going to get the security version, and we're going to download the security version of Parrot OS. You can pull it through hashes, through the torrent, or right through the download link directly. Now, one thing that we like about Parrot OS versus Kali Linux is a lot of the tools are actually pre-installed. Kali requires you to install a lot of the tools, so sometimes it can be a little bit more lightweight. But Parrot OS is definitely a tool that if you want to get into using an operating system for your day-to-day, I recommend Parrot over Kali. So let's start with a brand new VirtualBox machine. We're going to click New Machine. And just like we did before, we're going to call this one Lifencyber. Let's call this one Parrot Installation. We need to pull down our image, and so we have one already on this machine. We're going to use this Parrot OS. We have 6.0 on our machine, 6.1 just released, but we'll update it as soon as we get it installed. So I've got the ISO pointed, I've got Debian. We can do some unattended installs if we want. I normally don't. We can then, let's give this a little bit more memory. Let's give it about 4 gigs of memory. Sometimes I find it easier just to type it, as long as your numlock is on. 4096. Let's give this a few more cores than just one core. How about 4? That looks great. And for the installation, it says 20 gigs. I like to bump this one up to about 40 if I'm just going to use it as a virtual image. Now, if you're doing this as your main PC, your main installation, you would definitely just give it the entire hard disk. So let's go through this, click Finish. We're going to wait for this to completely finish building real quick. Okay, it looks like it's done. Now I'm going to click Start. And we should see it power up. Just give it a second here. So while we're waiting for that to power up, one of the big things that I like about Parrot OS, as I said, is to use it for the day-to-day installation, because it includes other tools like Anon Surf and a few other Tor enhancing networks that you can easily use for your day-to-day. All right, let's make this a little bigger like we did on the last one. We're going to view scale mode. Let's bring this a little larger. We're going to go to the first option, which is try install. Wait for that to load up. It's going to go load the installer. I really like the installer graphic that they have here. Kind of looks like a glitchy boot up process. So we already talked about a little bit about the versatility of Parrot itself, just because it can be installed just like Kali pretty much on any other device out there. But one of the big things are the pre-installed tools. It has a lot of tools kind of like Metasploit, Nmap, Burp Suite, and so many more tools that we'll play around with in future videos. All right, we are booted up to the live CD. We are now going to click Install Parrot on the desktop. It's going to load its installer. And so for this installer, let's get rid of this window in the right-hand column. We're going to use English. We're going to click somewhere around here. Here's Denver. That's about where I'm at. default keyboard. If you like some of the other like Dvorak keyboards or anything else, you can do that. We're going to use the entire disk. And we can use swap if we want to, but for this instant, we're not going to use swap. So swap has two different purposes. It has, if you run out of memory, it will use it as a secondary memory storage, and it also uses it as a hibernate storage. It'll take that everything in memory, throw it in your swap space, so that way you can hibernate the installation. If you want to encrypt the disk, we can do it from here. Again, I'm not going to encrypt it. Now, here we are again. We're going to do Lifencyber. By default, it does a lot of cool things. It also, instead of having a multi-screen like Kali does, this all does it on the same screen. So we have the Lifencyber as our username. And then the PC for this is Lifencyber. And we're going to go Parrot. Now, here's where you keep your password. Mine's super secret. It's password 1, capital P. You can tell this to automatically log in without a password, but that's very insecure because now we're going to install it as a cached credential. Personally, I'm just going to leave it alone. Click next. It's telling me that it's going to erase the whole hard disk, get it all set up, all 40 gigs. And one of the things that's kind of interesting here is it's kind of not showing me in the entire screen because of the resolution on this. So you could change the resolution if you want, but we're just going to continue on. All right, first thing it's going to do is create those partitions. It's going to take that disk, wipe the entire disk, create the partitions, and once those partitions are created, it will then start installing the files. So we're going to start seeing it unpack the entire image to the newly created partition, and then it will install. So this is long and boring, so we'll skip through this, and I'll be back as soon as this install is complete. All right, so the install is now complete. You'll see the screen, it says all done, and all you have to do is click done, and it will reboot the machine. So we're going to click done. It's going to reboot on us. And the big thing I always forget about this is exactly what happened here is you probably should remove the disk. All right, so before we reboot, we need to come in here. We need to go to settings. We need to go to our storage section. And let's get rid of this disk. Let's remove the disk from the machine. And then we can reboot the system. So as it reboots, you'll notice something very familiar. You'll see grub. Just let it install whatever the default grub file is. That's the one that we're going to use. And I'm just going to wait for this to boot up. All right, so it has booted up. We're going to type our password 1 as Lifencyber. And we're going to come up. I'm going to do an IP ADDR, just like we did before. I have an IP address. We're going to ping Google. We're going to give Pi-hole a second to register, and there it goes. So this system seems to be running perfectly, and just like Kali, you'll notice things are organized in the application section. And then, like, for instance, pen testing, if we want to do some like password attacks, we can then use, like John the Ripper, or we can use Hashcat, or we can use Oathcrack or Mimikatz. All the tools are pre-installed. Like, for instance, Aircrack. If I wanted to, I can launch up Aircrack. It needs elevated privileges, so let me just type that in. And there we go. We already have it set up and going. So that's one of the big differences is Parrot definitely is A little nicer for when you want something that's pre-installed. Now, not everything's pre-installed, but the majority of the tools are pre-installed, which is really cool. I hope you like this. So our next videos, we're going to start going over the tools and actually using each one of the tools and showing you how to use like Beef and Metasploit and Empire and Oathcrack and OpenStego, a whole bunch of fun tools. So subscribe if you like this, and we'll talk to you next time. Peace.